Testing, testing, hello, hello, hello. What is going on, everybody? What's going on? Hello, hello, hello. How is everybody doing right now? Am I late? No. No. Maybe like a little bit. Testing, testing. Plus 12. Yeah. Yeah, it's plus 12. Alright. Let me add it. Hold on. What is going on? Alright. Do you guys like this chapter? What a fucking chapter. This chapter was insane. This is an all-time great chapter. I think it's 12 points, right? 12. From what I saw. Yeah, is that Guinness? This is not Guinness. This is just espresso. But speaking of beer, I do have a beer on hand. 13 minutes late, literally unwatchable. My bad. 13 late points. You know what? I'm in a good mood. I'm not even gonna check. I'll give you guys the 13. Although we're getting suspiciously close to me having to do penalties again. All right. Here we go. All right, there we go. All right. Emu's so cool. Emu's surprisingly really cool. I say surprisingly just because it's I say surprisingly just because I think for a bit now we've all expected that Emu should be cool, but then at the same time, like, he kind of has like he had kind of I don't know, very anxious energy for some time before. It seemed like a petulant child, you know? But this chapter, he's pretty much what you want out of a final villain slash pseudo-final villain, you know? Let me get into some of these chats. Keith Zedge, thanks for being a Yonko tier member for 18 months, man. Hi, Morge. Zoro and Sanji getting shots at Emu has to have some big significance. Wonder what this hints at down the line. If you think this means that Zoro and Sanji are going to get the run back against Emu, I don't think it necessarily means that, you know? Like, there's sometimes Oda just wants to use characters as hype tools, you know? I think it's entirely possible that Zoro and Sanji get a run back, but I'm not reading too much into this as is, you know? Like, sometimes an L is just an L, you know? King GG6681, thanks for the 2. I got my prediction right that Emu would buff the Gods Knights. Yeah, I gave you're one of the prediction winners for this week. So the prediction winners for this week are Growth. Wait. Do I not have you as one of the prediction winners? I have Growth Stonks. I got Behenort and I got Viraj. Did you predict? Let me check this. Hold on. I got the predictions up right here. Did I miss yours? See, yours starts with Emu kills Jarl and buffs the Gods Knights. Okay, so you did get part of it correct. So you know what? Here's what I can do. It's too late for the recording. The recording is gone, but I can send my editor your text so you will show up on the screen, you know? I don't know what to do in some situations where somebody does like kind of two predictions in one, and it's like, all right. But one of your predictions was correct, so I'll give it to you. All right. Hold on. There we go. All right, I got you. You know what? And you win mod for that. So here we go. Lil Emu, thanks to the two. Twin had crazy motion today. Yeah. Lil Emu and Big Emu. Daiti, thanks to the 5. Strange to see Emu so compassionate to his knights after Saturn. What do you think his plan is on Elbaf? I don't know if he's being compassionate. It's just adding to his force. Like, I don't know if he feels real empathy for them. Tom says, Morge, I'm a winner too. What did you... It's revealed Emu has one of the only 5 flying devil fruits. No, that's not... Yeah, he technically has a flying devil fruit, but it's not revealed he's one of the only 5 flying devil fruits. Derek Boppler, thanks for being a Yonko tier member for 16 months. The One Piece community slander game is on a completely new level right now. Truly magnificent roasting. Also, we need better redeem options for late points. We can talk better redeem options for late points. You know what? Come into Monday's stream. I don't want to derail the chapter discussion with this, but come into Monday's stream, and guaranteed we will talk about some new late points. Don't want to derail today. Don't want to derail today because we got a lot to talk about with this chapter. Here, I'll make a little note for myself for Monday's stream. New late point options. We've talked about that a little bit. We just haven't done it. Also, let's get stream likes up to 50 real quick. I actually have not been seeing much in terms of the... I've not seen much in terms of Twitter and stuff like that, really. My Twitter feed is pretty much all politics stuff right now. It's crazy, like... Now, even if a super hype One Piece chapter comes out, it's all like world news shit. But at the same time, I also don't check Twitter that much nowadays because I swapped phones, and when I swapped phones, the Twitter login was gone. So then I realized it's better. I had a boost in productivity when I was essentially signed out of a lot of my just general stuff after switching from one phone to the other phone. And I was like, you know what? It's better this way. So I removed some things, including Twitter. But I haven't really seen much of that. What's the slander? Who are people slandering the most? Is it who's being slandered the most? Is it just Zoro and Sanji? I feel like this is a unique Zoro situation because it's the first time Zoro has gotten been used as a hype tool since, I don't know, like Kuma? Pre-time skip? Straw Chaco, thanks for being a member for 42 months. How did Bumbo get away? Also, Omen equals MMBF? You're using way too much lingo for me here, man. Okay, how did Bumbo... Who's Bumbo? Bumbo? Is it Sabo? Oh, Sabo get away? Oh, they let him. They let him. Also, Omen equals MMBF. I don't know what that means. The Strats in general are being slandered. All the Strats are being slandered. Calling him the stall hat pirate. But just a second ago, people were talking about like, oh shit, the Strats are too broken now. The God's Knights can't fight them. Stuff like that. Nico Robin got called someone's child. Oh, man. How are the Strats supposed to win? I'm very excited, though. People are saying... I see you guys saying, like, oh, Morge, you're excited, Onigashima, etc. I don't think this is... You wait for Tuesday's video. I don't think this is necessarily like, oh, Elbaf's going to end in a crushing defeat for everybody. I think it's a little more complicated than that. You guys got to remember, the logic of the raid failing in Wano was based on one very simple thing, which is that Wano had no drama, no tension, no low point, okay? It had none of that, all right? Elbaf already had a midpoint to the arc. There was already a fall section where the protagonists were in trouble, yada yada, they had to rise back up, right? What's happening right now is bad, but that doesn't mean that this is the whole thing headed for failure. Wano needed a low point. Elbaf just needs an exciting climax at this point. Maybe it all goes downhill and everything goes to shit. Maybe. But the reasoning is very different from Wano, you know? Wano's just Oda skipping a whole section of the story and just getting to everybody winning, basically. Elbaf didn't do that. Elbaf already did the narrative structure. So now we're just in the end point of Elbaf where, yeah, things could go one way or the other. You know, maybe Oda wants to set up for tragedy, defeat for the Straw Hats. Maybe it's a draw without conclusion. Maybe the Straw Hats drive Emu out. These are all valid options right now. But just because it looks really bad for the heroes at this moment in time, that doesn't mean that the whole arc ends in them losing. That's just Oda doing a good job as an author in introducing tension, you know? Like, if we were to compare this to the Onigashima final battle, I think people might be confused, because in the Onigashima final battle, the Straw Hats were all like, we've got this in the bag, I can't imagine losing, let's plan the victory party, all at the beginning of the fight, okay? That's not normal writing. That might have tricked One Piece fans into thinking that's not normal writing. That's not even Mickey Mouse writing, because even Disney movies don't do shit like that, okay? So it's insulting to Mickey Mouse to say that Onigashima's writing was Mickey Mouse writing. It's Disney movies have significantly more stakes than Onigashima did, all right? Nobody's planning a party at the start of the fight, okay? What we're seeing right now with Emu is called normal writing, which is you're in the final battle, you're up against a really big, strong villain, you want to make things seem somewhat dire for the heroes from the get-go. You want to make it seem like a challenge. You want to make it seem like, oh, it's not guaranteed that the heroes are going to win. That's just called normal writing. That's what pretty much every storyline for any series that's good ever has. That's what One Piece does in general as well. I mean, what we're seeing right now isn't that much different than, like, fucking Thriller Bark, where Oars shows up, fucks up all the Straw Hats, looks like the Straw Hats are fucked, but then it's like, no, the arc's not over yet, we're gonna get back up and fight again. You know, like, this isn't crazy. This doesn't mean that the whole thing's going to shit. It might go to shit, but this alone does not mean it's all going to shit. Does that make sense? So I'm on the other side of things now, where I'm like, no, this is a wait and see situation. Does that make sense? Yeah, I brought Wano up myself because, like, it's just too hard to not talk about when significant moments of tension are happening. It's like, because I feel like in Wano, people made me feel crazy. They're like, Morge, what do you mean there's no tension? Like, what do you mean? Like, what's missing? I'm like, this is what's missing. This is it. It's not like some mysterious, mystical thing, like this undefined sense of tension or whatever. It's the fucking difference between the heroes being like, I can't imagine losing, let's plan our victory party, versus everyone being like, oh fuck, we're getting fucking fucked up, we gotta get our shit together. One is tension, one's not. It's very simple. That's what's frustrating. People were just like playing dumb the whole Wano arc, like, but Morge, what is tension really? It's like, it's not fucking complicated. It's this. Wano did have one chapter of tension, by the way, I always bring this up. It had one chapter of tension, chapter 1043. One chapter of tension in, 150 chapters, So it had one chapter, so people should know what tension looks like. It was just a shame that it took place in one chapter at the very end of the storyline rather than, throughout the whole raid like you would hope a final battle would have, Anyway, what is MMBF? What's MMBF? Someone explain. The anime saved Wano's legacy? Yeah, the anime was like a really, it's like the nicest coat of paint. But it's like a weird paint job where it's really beautiful, but then at some spots on the wall, they use some really shitty paint, like low quality paint, and that's because the pacing gets so bad. So it's like they did really good paint for some episodes, but not others. What is MMBF? What's MMBF? I'm getting confused here. What happened that chapter? That was the chapter that it seemed like Luffy died. It's up to your interpretation whether he died or not. And everybody was freaking out for 10 pages. That was good, though. That was really good. Can someone tell me what MMBF means? Morge, what is your preferable beverage of beer? So I've slowly I feel pretentious saying this, but I've slowly become an IPA person. I like IPAs. My favorite beer is called Loose Cannon. Loose Cannon is, I think, is it a Maryland only thing? Loose Cannon. I have trouble finding it other places. Yeah, it's, Loose Cannon's in Maryland. I love loose cannons. I could drink a lot of those. Not a lot of those, but you know what I mean. Like, um, that's my preferred beer. If I don't have loose cannons, I also like Lagunitas. I like. Wait, I don't want to give away my location based on certain beers. Hold on. Yeah, I can't say my other favorite beer because it's location based. But yeah, those are some of my favorites. But if I'm not having IPA, I like Pilsners. Like, this is a Pilsner. Uh, this is Live Oak. I like Yingling, Blue Moon. Yeah, I think we're going out after stream. So just getting started a little bit early with happy hour. Um, yeah, let's get stream likes up to 50 real quick. Okay, continuing on. I don't know what MMBF means. Man marked by flames. Man marked by flames. Ah, that's an interesting idea. Yeah, I could really see that. And you know what's interesting? They even said that the man marked by flames is a government man. So I wonder what that indicates. Ender Ayanami, thanks for being a Pirate King tier member for over 3.5 years now. Thanks for the long time support, man. Always a pleasure to see you in chat. Monthly reminder to play Lies of P. The hilarity of Mord saying he can't get into Kaiji because of the art style with a straight face, all the while being a One Piece fan, wasn't lost on me last stream. Bum slops arc BTW. Okay, I get what you're saying, but I think to me the difference is I find when I just look at, if I'd never tried One Piece, right? If I see the art style of One Piece, the characters do, it's an endearing, it's not like the most polished art style, but it does look endearing to me. With Kaiji, it feels like a lot of sharp angles. You know what I mean? Like, if I just look it up, right? If I look up Kaiji, yeah, everything feels really sharp, angular, and kind of like just not inviting, if that makes sense. Whereas One Piece, I feel like there's a certain charm that I get from it, from looking at the art style. Lies of P, I still got to finish Black Myth. It's been really, like, I cannot tell you how busy things have been for me lately because, little insight, I have started working on my side business again, and it's actually rolling pretty well right now. It's actually rolling pretty well. So, yeah, that's been taking up some of my time. Yeah, I don't want to get too much into it, but it's marketing for lawyers, actually, so won't say too much. Lawyers, law firms, basically. So it's just getting off the ground, but we've already got some good momentum. Gobble D's nuts. Thanks for being a Pirate King tier member for 18 months, man. Love the Loki panel, but I hope Imu low diffs him and Luffy for the sake of tension. I think the Loki panel is really cool, but I do think that one, I think the Dami Reversi option is still on the table. Two, I don't like that Oda's keeping Luffy out of the equation right now. So it's like Imu versus Loki first, and then presumably after that, Imu versus Luffy. Because I'm worried that Oda's going to protect Luffy here. Like, look, Luffy last arc couldn't even he couldn't even damage Warkiri, you know? So I feel like I will be very disappointed if Oda does not show Imu just like beating the fuck out of Luffy here, you know? Because if Luffy was having even some trouble with Agorose, then Imu should just be so far above, you know? So I'm more concerned about that, because I think Oda does like to protect Luffy in some ways. It's been a long time since, I guess, Wano, Luffy had his losses, right? So that's not true, right? So Oda was willing to do that in Wano. I think it's ever since the tail end of Wano, when Luffy turned out to be the chosen one, yada yada, Gear 5th, I feel like it's been a long time since Luffy has experienced, like, actually, like, I want to see him, like, being made to stop laughing in Gear 5th, you know what I mean? That's what I would love to see. So it's curious that Oda's having Loki line up first. I really wonder how that'll go. Ajay05, thanks to the 2. Were Zoro and Sanji using Conqueror's Haki? I can't tell. I thought Zoro was. Isn't he using King of Hell or whatever? Isn't he using King of Hell here? I don't think Sanji's just using... If Sanji's going to be using Conqueror's Haki, which I do believe he will soon, I would hate for it to be right here where it's just not working against Emu. I think that'd become somewhat disappointing. I would hope it's a really cool moment. So let's see. Let me see the Zoro panel again. Is Zoro using King of Hell? Maybe he's... Wait, hold on. What does he say? King of Hell, 3-sword style, right? So that's Conqueror's Haki. Conqueror's Haki checked off. Didn't work. Kind of crazy. Stormfox, thanks to the 2. Zoro fans trying to turn it into a feat desperately. It's just not a feat. It is... Zoro fans are so not used to Zoro just getting stomped by a character. It hasn't happened. Like, this is part of why the Zoro fandom is so, like, rides him so hard. It's because it's easy. Like, even Luffy has just, like, he takes some hard L's at times, Like, that happens even to Luffy throughout the New World. When was the last time Zoro just straight up lost, Pre-time skip? When was the last time Zoro straight up lost? I think it's literally Sabaody Archipelago. I don't think Zoro fans are calling this a feat. Sabaody, and if you don't want to count Sabaody because he was injured, then is it Lucci? Oh no, it's Kuma. Yeti Cool Brothers, that's like a cop-out answer because that's just like smoke. That's just like, I think it's kind of a testament to what a good record Zoro has had in the post-time skip, that the best you can do is like kind of be like, well, remember that time some sleeping gas took him out or something? It's like, okay, I guess, Against Carrot, he didn't win? Yeah, but what was my statement? When is the last time Zoro's lost? There's plenty of fights he didn't win. Like, he didn't win against Fujitora post-time skip. He didn't win against Kaido and Big Mom, I guess, but he hasn't straight up lost a 1v1 post-time skip, He lost to Kaido? No. If anything, he beat Kaido and then succumbed to injuries due to a team attack between Kaido and Big Mom, If you want to look at just Zoro versus Kaido 1v1, literally Kaido does not scratch him once. It's actually pretty bad on Kaido's part. It's actually pretty embarrassing on Kaido's part. Like, Kaido Zoro and Kaido, I can tell you right off the top of my head. First, Zoro hits him with an attack, doesn't do damage to Kaido. Whatever. Then, next thing, Kaido shoots a Boro Blast. Zoro cuts through it. Kaido shits himself, dodges. Then next thing, Kaido does like a tornado attack. Zoro counters it with a whirlwind, cuts Kaido up. Then next thing, Hakai we don't count because that's a team attack, right? So out the window. And so then the final interaction is Zoro Ashura versus Kaido, straight up. Zoro beats him, scars him permanently. That's it. So Kaido does not have a single good showing against Zoro. Kaido doesn't even get to beat Zoro after Ashura because Zoro's just, that's it. He's tapped out. He's injured. Kaido demolished Zoro. Where's the panel? We get it, man. Zoro this, Zoro that. Power scaling ruining the stream. I mean, that's what people are talking about here. I'm just pointing out the significance of what happened here. That Oda actually used Zoro as a hype tool for the first time. Like, that's how big of a deal Emu is, My man has reread Wano 50 times, LMAO. I know what happens in Wano. Zoro did not beat Kaido. That is not... Okay, Zoro did not beat Kaido, I agree, but he did get the better of him in every single one of their one-on-one interactions. That's an actual fact. Like, that's just straight up in the story. There's not a moment that Kaido actually gets the better of Zoro one-on-one. It doesn't happen. And they interact many times, right? My overall point is Zoro has not lost to an opponent post-time skip in a one-on-one fight. It has not happened. That's how protected the character has been since pre-time skip. It's actually insane, which is why what just happened in this chapter is a big deal. Does that make sense? I mean, did Kaido never hit Zoro? What the fuck? I think he didn't land a clean... The closest is Hakai, which is a team attack that Zoro chose to block to defend his crew, right? So if you want to argue that Kaido and Big Mom together were able to damage Zoro, then that's correct, but that's a 2v1. I'm saying Zoro and Kaido just one-on-one, it's all Zoro looking good and Kaido being on the losing end of it. It's not relevant to right now because we just saw Zoro lose to Emu really badly, right? So if you're upset about the Zoro whatever fact train, it's okay because it came to an end. I'm just talking about the Zoro train was like riding really high for a while. It just officially came to an end. Zoro had his first true loss of the post-time skip. Grizzly Adams, thanks for being a Pirate King tier member for 32 months. Fedoro tried to step to the real King of Hell and was hit with the side character Versi. Loki is the new number 2. I mean, Loki's the new number... Loki is above Luffy, as far as I could tell. He's above Luffy. He should be above Luffy 100%, right? Feats, abilities, yada yada, right? So I don't know what Loki number 2 is. If you want to say number 2 in the world right now, Loki might be number 2 in the world. But Loki's also probably roughly at his peak. Zoro's still got to grow. Zoro experienced this chapter what Sanji essentially experiences on a weekly basis in the New World. But then the sad part is that then Sanji also had to experience it as well. So I don't know. Growth Stonks, you did win predictions. Have we checked predictions? You did win predictions. Watch out for tomorrow's chapter review. You did get a correct prediction. So congrats, man. Also, Emu seems on a time limit, or Shanks needs to show up as the only person that can stop Emu being comparable to Joy Boy. I'm not even gonna get into the what do you call? I'm not going to get into the Shanks potential stuff here because I think it's just with how crazy strong Emu's being shown to be, I think it's almost too controversial for me to say something like, well, maybe Shanks can just send him home, you know? I think people would be like, Mordred, you fucking smoking crack or whatever. Let's get the stream likes up to 100. It would be cool to see Shanks here. I also, as cool as I think it would be to see Shanks show up and do something, release some crazy hockey or something like that. I've maintained that I don't want Shanks reuniting with Luffy with having to save him again, you know? Adba says, I don't think Oda will make Loki look bad. I feel like it's very possible that, look, I think it's possible that first Emu's gonna kind of sweep the board. I think he's gonna go around and fuck people up. I think we might then see characters getting up and fighting back to protect Elbaf, you know? I think Oda's got to get Emu's power showcase off first and foremost, you know? Empty Mind, thanks to the 2. Gaban is the perfect character kill off, I hope. Oh my god, if they kill Gaban's such a great character. I think I'm low-key at the point where I like Gaban more than Rayleigh. I'm not sure. Also, let's get stream likes up to 100 real quick. Joseph eBay, thanks for being a Pirate King tier member for 18 months, man. Morge, what are your thoughts on Luffy potentially having another gear? Gear last, given the nature of the final villain's strength, we need more. Unless we get Soga King, only he can save us. The thing is that, unless we get Soga King. So, the thing about Luffy getting another gear, I mean, it's everything's possible, right? Power of imagination or whatever. But the thing is that Gear 5 is, in theory, the final gear because there's nothing else to really be done with it, right? Like, it's already Luffy's awakened form, and it already allows Luffy to bring whatever he imagines to life with some limits, right? He can't just imagine, oh, I imagine Imu's like dead, and so Imu dies, right? But it already is so free. Like, so if we scale things back a little bit, right? With the gears, as Luffy developed his gears, it was always finding a way to push his abilities further because his abilities had limits, right? So like he already was kind of tapping out what he could do in his base form, lots of stretching attacks, yada yada. So then Gear Second was like, okay, well, what if I do blood flow? Like, it's identifying something specific that he can increase, right? Like, I can abuse my rubber power to increase my blood flow. Gear Third, it's like, okay, I can use my rubber powers to increase mass. Gear Fourth, it's like, okay, muscle, right? Like, let's really become very tensed up and like a spring and use muscles, right? Gear Fifth is kind of just like the rules are gone, right? Like, if all of his other gears are trying to find ways to take what he can do and stretch them a little bit past their limits, right? Gear Fifth, it's whatever, right? If he wants to be more muscular, he can be more muscular. If he wants to create a giant fist, he can create a giant fist. If he wants to become gigantic, he can become gigantic, right? It's like the weights are off, the limits are off. I personally feel like where he's at, we kind of saw at Egghead, I feel like Haki is where he really needs to grow now. You know, like he's got the awakened fruit, he can turn into Nika, but that alone won't let him like, you know, damage someone like Warcury. He actually needs to get, there's no shortcuts anymore. I think his Haki needs to go up to Joy Boy's level. So it's entirely possible he comes up with a new gear, or he just comes up with more ways to fight with Gear Fifth. Like, keep in mind, with Gear Fifth so far, he's only had the Kaido fight, Kizaru, Gorosei, and now this. Like, he's had less than a handful of... He's obviously pulled out Gear Fifth for some random stuff, like, you know, fucking up Rodo's pets or whatever. But in terms of, like, real fights where he needs to stretch him, like, where he's actually using the best of what Gear Fifth can do, he's used it less than a handful of times, you know? So I think there's still a lot more that he should be able to do with Gear Fifth. He should just be scratching the surface. And then beyond that, the Haki, right? I think the Haki should be improving. I hope Gaban doesn't die. Stride Chaco, thanks to 2, was trying to ask Man Marked by Flames hit with Omen. I understand what you're saying now. I think that that's totally possible. Again, because like Shiryu implied that the Man Marked by Flames might be a government man. So maybe it's somebody sailing the seas with an Omen around them, and that's like the Marked by Flames. Like they've got Imu's Omen protecting them. You know, I think that's totally possible. Snab2032, thanks for being a Yonko tier member for 43 months. Holy hype, amazing chapter. Another month asking when you will read Kingdom. All the boys love when Morge is a little late. It makes character. I agree. I'm on board. I agree. Kingdom is next on the list. I've generally only got like mental space for one sort of media, I guess you could say, at a time. So right now it's The Sopranos. So when I have free time, I watch an episode of The Sopranos. Sopranos, whatever. Tom, thanks for the 2. The Ice Onis had me on the edge of my seat. Yeah, that was a real stressful time. It was like, oh my god, we might lose Hyogoro here. Ferris is cool. Thanks for the 8. Whose performance is better, Sanji's or Zoro's versus Imu? I think if you're asking that question, then I think that's like... I think if you're asking that question, that's a line. Like, that's a hard line where you might be too deep into power scaling and agenda. If you're sincerely looking at, like God stomping 2 ants, and you're like, okay, but which ant... which ant took, like, 0.1% more effort to stomp? It's like neat. It's like, what are you getting at it? Like, do you actually think that Oda's trying to portray either of these characters as doing remotely good against Imu? The point is just, oh my god, they're getting stomped by Emu. That's all. Oda's not trying to subtly imply like, yeah, Emu, he he absolutely zero diffed both of them. But this one of the two, right, Zoro or Sanji, that one he was secretly having to like try extra hard and go deep into his bag or something like that. Like, no, this is an Emu hype chapter. This is not Zoro. I think if you're asking this question of like who did better against Emu, it's straight up just like this. It's nonsensical. It's like asking, you remember when Luffy, Zoro, and Sanji all attacked Aokiji, right? Remember when they all attacked Aokiji, and Aokiji, they all lost at the same time, right? It would be like reading that chapter and trying to be like, okay, but who did the best out of these three? It's like, none of them. None of them did the best. They all did really bad. It's the same. It's, what the fuck? They all lost Aokiji with zero difficulty. That's the point. Oda's not trying to be like, yeah, but, you know, Zoro's arm got frozen, whereas Zoro's left arm got frozen, whereas Luffy's right arm got frozen, but Sanji's leg got frozen. So, like, you know, who really took the most damage here? It's like, the fuck? Reflexy2228, thanks for being a member for 37 months, over 3 years. Shanks' hockey is going to send Emu back. Elbaf isn't done. I don't know. Blood dodging the question? Because there is no question. There's no question. That's like asking who did better against Emu, Gerd or Stanson. Like, there's no... There's nothing to answer. Yeah, I don't think Elbaf is done. I think Elbaf doesn't end until 1200. Hernando, thanks a lot. My wife said you're too loud. My apologies to your wife. Dear Boppler, thanks for the 2. Emu kind of looking like a swordsman. Big Mihawk W. Oh my god. Tom, thanks for the 5. Unironically, I think another big deal is that Oda had named characters lose body parts, and one of them is a pretty woman. Check Twitter when you can. I can check Twitter right now. That was actually maybe the most surprising part about this chapter. Gerd losing her fingers. I was like, is this One Piece? Is this One Piece? Like, Stanson losing a leg? That is pretty shocking. That would have been shocking on its own, right? I think especially the manner in which it was depicted, I think that's one of the coolest things. I love how Oda's thought out Emu's fighting style in terms of like making it feel really, really fast, right? I love the fact that we see Stanson's leg mid-kicking Hadrutin out of the way, but his leg's already been cut. That is badass. I love the way that I don't think that's always Oda's like strength, like choreography necessarily. Not that he's bad at it, but in terms of just thinking of like really cool action moments or something like that, it's not like he's Kagurabachi. But in this chapter, it felt like Kagurabachi's author. In this chapter, it felt like that's where it was at. Like he was like firing on all cylinders. He's clearly thought about how to make Emu's entrance really cool. And yeah, the Gerd thing where it's just her fingers are off before even seeing the cut, that is wild. Like Oda doesn't do that to pretty female characters, you know? He kind of plays it very tame with them and kind of protects them. And her fingers being cut off it's just really like graphic or like really graphic or really severe for One Piece. Oda, when he does damage, you know what's cool about it is that when Oda does damage, Oda's not afraid to do like a ton of damage to characters. Like he'll write something like, you know, like Zoro versus Mr. One. Mr. One just slashes up Zoro a million times over the course of that fight. Fucking takes like a rotating chainsaw to his stomach or whatever. Has rocks fall, like all sorts of stuff, right? But that's all vague damage. It's visually a lot, and you get the idea it's a lot, but that's all vague damage, right? Losing limbs and losing fingers, it's less overtly, like, it's more just permanent, right? Like, with One Piece, we're used to characters kind of just, you know, okay, it doesn't really matter how much blood you lose over the course of a fight. You can lose gallons or whatever. All you need is to be stitched up by Chopper, band-aided or whatever, and then you be fine a week later. That's why there's something particularly visceral about seeing just, like, actual dismemberment. Fingers cut off, legs cut off. that feels immediately a bit more real in terms of damage than what we're used to in One Piece. Ison, thanks for becoming a Pirate King tier member. I appreciate the support. Definitely check out the Pirate King podcast that just dropped, and you get access to all previous Pirate King podcasts. For those of you who don't know, the Pirate King podcast is a monthly podcast for my top tier of members, where I answer a shit ton of questions that Pirate King members have about One Piece, other anime, manga, movies, TV show, real life, etc. And I have way more time to answer it in depth in the Pirate King podcast than I do on streams. Podcasts are generally about an hour and a half long, and there's like close to 40 of them now, so definitely go check that out. Kai9S, thanks for the 10. This is what I wanted from Emu, just make everyone look like a joke. I've always thought there's still room for the Strats to lose again, and I think it should happen here. I either here or the Final War. It's got to happen either in this arc or in the Final War. Let's get streamlights up to 100 real quick. It needs to happen just once. That's all I'm really asking for. I don't actually need the Strats to be completely defeated here. I want a finale with some tension, right? And we've already got that. If the Strats lose, great. I'm interested in the path that takes us down on. If the Strats manage to hold out till Emu has to leave, as long as the tone remains really, really similar to what it is right now, I'm good with that. But then the Strats do have to lose to someone like the Blackbeard Pirates in the Final War, you know? Tetrahedral Milk, thanks to the 5. Loki Aura is too much. If he and Emu have an advanced Conquerors Hockey clash next chapter, greatest chapter ever. That would be pretty sick. That would be pretty sick. Ison2339, thanks for the 10. I don't care if I'm coping, but Sanji looks better this chapter than Zoro. I can't lie, even as a Zoro fan. I legit got pre-time skip Sanji, Mr. Prince vibes. That panel where Sanji was in that flame ring was cold. If this is a Sanji W for Sanji fans, then so be it. You know? Who am I to... I think it's I just think taking anything remotely positive away from this chapter as though it's a hype moment for either of these characters is kind of insane. I just think you gotta be really, really, really deep in agenda to feel that way personally. To feel this somehow made Sanji look good. But it is what it is. It is what it is. Hangman P, thanks for the 2. Is Gunko free now? Only Ragnar can break the ice. So, I don't know, because we don't actually get to see. So, I guess the validity of only Ragnar being able to break the ice will be tested next chapter, you know? One Piece fan 74, thanks to the 5. Luffy needs Loki and Yamato. Let's get one thing clear, too. If legitimately only Ragnar can free people from ice, from the frozen, whatever he freezes, Ragnar's just or Loki, I guess, overall, is just, he's got to be the second strongest character we have. That alone, even if you took out his lightning, that alone is just straight up unfair, you know? One Piece fan 74, thanks to the 5. Luffy needs Loki and Yamato to join the crew and drop these bum wings. No, come on. These wings are great. I think this arc is going to show them to be great by the end of it. This is just the moment to hype Emu. Savage J, thanks to the 5. It looks like Emu fired 3 shots at Zoro with the Bobo Boom, and Zoro blocked at least 1 with his swords. Did it not explode because of his advanced Conquerors Haki? This is getting insane. What? What is Are people that unable to just accept character L's for L's? I have no idea if Zoro's blocking something here or not. I have no idea if Zoro's blocking something here or not. I'm looking at the panel. This is actually going to bother me a little bit because now it's just going to be I feel like there's going to be endless debates now about the stupidest thing, which is Sanji fans claiming something about how Sanji looks good here, and I guess Zoro fans claiming that this block, if it is a block, is something big. This is stupid. They both lost with 0 difficulty. They both did bad. It's okay for them to do bad because the story isn't over. One Piece has many more chapters to go. I think in like 50 or by the end of Elbaf, you'll probably feel silly going back and looking at like, oh, trying to put a microscope and be like, well, Sanji did this here and Zoro did this here. It's like, no, this is just, they get stomped. It's very humiliating. That's just what it's supposed to feel like. That's all. That's all it needs to be. That's all it needs to be. They just lost. They lose. And it was easy. John Connor 8885, thanks for the 5. Hi Morge, how do you feel about Emu being defeated and by the time he returns to Marijua, they have the Mother Flame and try to destroy Elbaf? Oh, that would be crazy. I don't know about Emu being defeated, but I don't mind the crew, all of the Alliance being able to like hold off Emu, kind of like the Oars fight or something. I don't mind that, as long as it doesn't make Emu look like a joke, you know? As long as it's a battle filled with tension and everything, you know? As long as Emu's not actually defeated. If they straight up beat Emu here, I would find that disappointing. Grizzly Adams 8277, thanks for the 20, man. Thank you so much. I didn't think the Zoro Sanji fans could go any lower after a couple weeks ago when they're arguing over who dealt with the Thorns better. Oh my god, the Thorn discussion is pathetic. But now they're arguing over whose one-shotting was more/less impressive. Ridiculous. Yeah, this is I think is an all-time low. And you guys know I like to get into the power scaling and the agenda and stuff, but I'm like, it can't be over nothing. It can't just ignore like complete like narrative intent completely, which is that they just lose. That's it. Like they lose and it's easy for Emu. That's the narrative intent. I don't think Oda's trying to think like, I'm going to try and make Zoro look slightly better here or Sanji slightly better because in this panel, Sanji's doing this. Like, it's just to make... I think Oda's only intention here is to make Emu look good. And Sanji and Zoro are the ragdolls that are being used for that. Shaker Magnus 9450, thanks to the 5. Chapter 1010, page 11. Kaido stands up after Ashura and Thunder Bagwas, both Zoro and Law at the same time. Irrelevant because Zoro is out of HP at that point. Completely out of HP. Completely irrelevant. It's literally stated before he does the Ashura that this is my last attack. After that, I'm done. So if you want to argue that you realize that Zoro's already at that point supposed to be in that like full body cast, right? So if you want to argue, well, Kaido hit Zoro when he's supposed to be in a full body cast, I guess that's something, but that is truly sad stuff for Kaido if that's the case. If he requires Zoro to be in a full body cast in order to deal damage to him. Abe2129, thanks for the 7. Hey Morge, do you think we're going to see Loki's hybrid form next chapter? I still wonder how Loki will be able to hold his own with his injuries, though. Do you think we're going to see Loki's hybrid next chapter? I think that would be a great time to show his hybrid form. Great time to show his hybrid form. Unless Oda's trying to do something where, like, he doesn't show... If Oda's trying to have Emu, like, fuck Loki up here, but then there's going to be a round 2 by the end of the arc, maybe we don't see the hybrid form till the round 2. Loki did say something like, I got too big, or something like that. So if he got too big, maybe that's going to be a problem for him. He did imply something like that. Let me see one thing. Yeah. And I wonder how Loki will be able to hold out with his injuries, though. Yeah, the fact that Loki's nerfed is also not a good sign. Let's get stream likes up to 150 real quick. Yeah, Loki being nerfed is bad news for him. So if you're a Loki fan, you've got that in the back pocket that this is not full health Loki. Julian Reed, thanks for the 5. Blackbeard got cooked by half-dead Beppo, and Emu's one-shotting Yonko commanders. The power gap is too big to close in a timely manner. Blackbeard doesn't even have Conqueror's Haki. So, you know what's interesting? So, here's what's interesting to me. And maybe people who know Japanese can clarify it. So, Omen What's the deal with this Haki and Maki thing? What's the deal with this Haki and Maki thing? Is that a real thing, or is that just what I was reading online? Do Japanese people know? Japanese speakers? Japanese translators? Because at this point, the only way Blackbeard can really catch up to Emu is if Emu's fruit is unique in that upon eating it, you also gain crazy amounts of Haki or Maki or whatever the fuck it is. Otherwise, I'm just like, I don't know what the fuck Blackbeard does. The other possible route is, like many have speculated, that Blackbeard is housing another personality. It's a joke? Oh, it's a joke. Maki is supposed to be... That's just random shit. Is it... Does somebody... Could somebody... Okay, where's the TCB scans note? Where's the TCB scans note? Let's look. Omen is using the kanjis, which translates to evil energy. So then could that... But then Gaban specifically says that he's sensing Emu's Haki, right? So does Emu have Haki and Maki, or is Maki basically a dark version of Haki that stems from a devil fruit? I don't know. There's two possibilities as to how Blackbeard could catch up to Emu. If Blackbeard eats Emu's fruit, then either Emu's fruit just straight up gives you crazy Haki or Maki or whatever, right? So it's automatic, in which case Blackbeard would be better than Emu because Blackbeard has all of Emu's powers, but also the Yami Yami no Mi and the Guru Guru no Mi, right? So that's option one. Option two is that Blackbeard is housing another personality that we have yet to see, but there is some degree of evidence that that might actually be the case, you know? And that other personality might be crazy good at Haki. Mihawk the Goat, 32, thanks to the 2. Loki's about to 1v1 an Emu the old gen hasn't seen. Yeah, I mean, I'd straight up have Loki above the old gen. I think that's just not even debatable. Like, Gaban, who's from the old gen, straight up tells us that nobody could have stopped Harold. He straight up says he could not imagine anyone stopping Harold, and that if Harold got out of the castle, Harold would have just destroyed the whole world, right? So Gaban straight up establishes that God's Knight Harold is stronger than everybody else, right? This is while Whitebeard is still alive, by the way. Kaido's around, Big Mom's around, etc., right? It's pretty clear, right? There's not really any interpretation to that. And then Gaban's like, yeah, I'm shocked that Loki was able to defeat him, right? Obviously, Harold allowed Loki to get the last hit in, but Loki's fucking up Harold before that regardless, you know? So I don't think there's anything... Like, Loki... I don't think it's fair to even compare Loki to other characters from the old gen, because Loki can just open his mouth and drop, like, a Raigo, right? He can open his mouth and drop an attack that's equal to what destroyed the Lucia Kingdom, you know? Loki can just blow up Lucia Kingdom like it's nothing, whereas it seems like you should really need an ancient weapon to do that, you know? Speaking of Lucia, God's Not Dead MC says Elbaf would at least be Luciad if Emu doesn't win, but they're short on Mother Flames right now, right? So that's why what I seem to establish last chapter, that York isn't really holding up her end just yet. She hasn't made Mother Flames. Also, let's get stream lights up to 150 real quick. Roboscade, thanks for the 2. Zoro and Sanji fighting Emu and Jinbei his flames. Jinbei's fighting his flames? Like, try to put out his fire? Yeah, that's funny. Random guy, thanks for the 5. This confirms that Zoan Awakenings with black flames are buffed by Emu. What? Weird that Lucci has them but not killing him. Also, Loki hybrid form reveal soon. I don't know if that's the case, because... Is that the case? I think there's a bit of a leap there, so I'm not sure if that's the case. Rihanna, thanks for the 5. Honestly, Loki kind of throwing up death flags to me right now. Thoughts still on the Loki dying theory, and Blackbeard gets his fruit from back at the start of the arc. I think that Loki won't get... So the big thing that protects Loki kind of from having his fruit stolen is that it's pretty clearly established that his fruit is really only useful in his hands. It's still useful, obviously, if someone like Blackbeard ate it, but it scales to size. So that's why a big deal was made out of, like, you really only get the max usage out of it if you're an ancient giant, you know? So if Blackbeard ate it, I feel like it would end up being... It's still supposed to make you the largest dragon in the world, right? But I feel like if a normal-sized human ate it, it probably would just be a slightly better version of Kaido's fruit. So I think that's one of the big things that keeps Loki kind of safe, which is he has an ability that's important to him. Green Owl 2834, thanks for the 5. Man marked by flames is the man marked by omen. Also, the circular symbol above the skull on the left side of Imu's pants looks like the symbol near Enel's chair on Maxim. Ooh, and I do believe the man mark... Somebody else brought it up earlier. I do believe the man marked by flames theory. I see. I'm going to have to look into this Enel stuff here. That's interesting. I think that does solve it, because the thing I've been saying for some time is that Shiryu told us that the man marked by flames is likely a government man, right? The man marked by flames is a government man. People kind of push back against that, but now I think it does make sense in that, yeah, it's a government man because they have the omen, like Imu's granted them an omen. So I think it all makes sense. Julian Reed, thanks for the 5. Fans begging a villain to humble the Straughts and give them L's for tension, but when that happens, look how badly/quickly they start coping about their L's. Julian Reed, that's a great point. Great point. Ace by Comeback, thanks for the 5. Hi, Morge. Is Blackbeard as the final villain? The new raid will fail. Also, why doesn't Hadruden accept he's weak instead of getting his friend sliced? That's true. Hadruden should have just ran. I'm curious now. So, for the last several weeks, we've done this poll, is Blackbeard still the final villain? You guys have generally skewed about 70-30 to Blackbeard versus Imu. I'm curious if this chapter changes anything. Let's see. So he's just a holy Ropo? Look, some of the God's Knights can be strong. Like, I mean, we presume Shamrock's strong. We've yet to see evidence, but I guess let's see. Hold on. Final villain. Emu Blackbeard. Sean Easton, thanks for the 5. Started watching from the beginning of stream right now. Half of my predictions were correct as well. Emu indeed put belt to ass. Yeah, wait. Let me see you, Sean Easton. For Sean, all I've got you down for is Rox mentions the poneglyphs in his final words. So I don't have... Oh, wait, this is the wrong one. Hold on. Wrong one here. There we go. Let me see Sean Easton. Hold on. I was like, that doesn't make sense. Emu reminisces about the last time that he has to descend. Emu then skips talking and starts beating people up. Shit. I gotta put you... Okay. No. It's hard because he doesn't reminisce about the last time he had to descend. Emu then skips talking and starts beating people up. I think that on its own is too general of a prediction. Because, like... Yeah, I think that on its own is a bit too general of a prediction. So I'm not going to give it to you this time. Because if you'd gotten the reminiscing about the last time he has to descend, then I'd give it to you. But I think I can't this time. But you are right that he did put belt to ass. But I think that's a little bit too straightforward. Your second comment, started watching for... Wait, no, we covered this. Where's the second part of your comment? Half of my... Oh, no, I see what you're saying. Half of my prediction was correct as well. I think that part's too general. So I'm trying to, like balance, like, how... If you're doing, like, a full prediction that's kind of a two-parter, what's the part that seems interesting enough to be its own prediction? Does that make sense? Like, I think I can't give it based off of that. Mo Mans 101, thanks for the 2. Don't think Emu's ability suits Blackbeard if he steals it. You know what? Fuck it. Here, I'll give it. Emu skips talking and puts belt here. I'll put it, but you're not gonna be in the recording, but you will come up. Yeah, hold on. Hold on. Okay, continuing on. Momans 101, thanks to 2. Don't think Emu's ability suits Blackbeard if he steals it. You never know. You never know. Blackbeard could surprise you. Because, like, to me, the Guruguru no Mi... No. I don't know. I don't think Blackbeard has, like, a clear fighting style. I do think this ability suits Blackbeard's persona as, like, kind of this dark devil-type figure. Julian Reed 6030, thanks for the 5. These black flames can heal / strengthen, but simultaneously destroy and cause harm. Seems like Emu already has a mother flame, or at least some version. Yeah, flames are becoming really important here. And yeah, the abilities are really cool. So Monday stream, I kind of want us to like go through and document all of... Monday stream's kind of like breaking down all of Emu's abilities, because he's got a crazy roster. And I kind of want to go through and sort everything he can do. Because even some of the passive abilities, like just bringing the houses and stuff to life, are kind of crazy. Also, let's get stream likes up to 150 real quick. Starbright, Starbright 2551, thanks for the 5. Street saying black flames greater than black blades. Omen jam be soon. Black flames. I mean, it's different power sets, right? Josie Dirts, thanks for the 5. Both Zoro and Sanji got whooped, and I love it. The only upscale the wings get is that they survive a headshot and city-size explosion from the top 1. Yeah, I still think that the Strats are going to be able to get back up by the end of the arc. I still believe. I think that the wings are supposed to get some growth in this arc. Alongside the rest of the crew, of course. Josie Dirts, thanks for the 2. Why do you think Emu never gave Gunko an Omen boost? I mean, he's freeing her right now, right? He's freeing her, so maybe when she's out of there, she gets an Omen boost. But at the same time, Emu might be pissed, because remember the last time that Gunko was trying to resist his will before, remember? Anime Dimension, thanks for the 5. Mr. Morge, I have not received any my Admiral hoodies yet. I placed the order on March 7th. I am sorry about that. So the Admiral hoodies are a pre-order, but they should be on their way to being shipped soon. Just if you, how do I say this? Please go to our site, OneDream, and then just contact us if you're concerned about the order status. It should arrive soon. We can give you a status update. Please just send us an email. And then if the date that we tell you that it's arriving is not okay with you, just let us know and we can make good and everything like that. But it is a pre-order for those hoodies. But now we have like the full stock of hoodies basically in actual storage. So the next time the hoodies come back on, we're selling them again. It won't even be a pre-order. You can just get them straight up. But you should be able to get your hoodies soon. They should be on their way soon. I can't tell you the exact date right now, but just email, because that's just not... I don't know the shipping dates, but you can just send us an email. We will get back to you by like start of next week, of course, and just give you an update on your shipping status. And then if that's not okay with you, that's totally okay. Just let us know, and then we'll make good. But yeah, don't worry. The hoodies will arrive. If you want an exact date update, just send us an email, please. But thank you for asking. Ismailami, thanks. When does man die? Only when he's forgotten. Starts having a weird meaning for me now, since Emu and Joyboy were both forgotten for 800 years. Yeah, it's kind of crazy. It's kind of crazy. It's also... I mean, Joyboy's lived... You know what's interesting? Emu is literally forgotten, in that, like, the whole world doesn't know about him, but Joy Boy kind of lives on through the will of D. I think that's an interesting idea. Okay, so Blackbeard... Okay, so with this chapter, this was a very impactful chapter. This chapter actually swung votes by 10%. So before, I think the last poll we did, the last three polls we've done on this, it's been pretty consistent with about 70% for Blackbeard as final villain, 30% for Emu. I think the last time we did the poll was like 69 Blackbeard, 31% Emu, so basically 70-30 split, right? Fairly consistent. This single chapter has swung it a hard 10%. That's pretty big. It's now 60-40 Blackbeard versus Emu. That's a big deal. That's a very big deal. So this chapter was clearly impactful. I guess seeing Emu in action, he actually has... I think it's kind of like seeing Emu in action, one, seeing just how crazy strong he is, two, the energy he's giving off. It's kind of like, yeah, if this is the final villain of One Piece, we could rock with that, you know? I think that's kind of the vibe. Whereas before, you know, he was this kind of just an angry shadow. That's how I've described him. Before he was like this angry shadow, but here he was locked in. He was locked in. It was kind of just like, you know, it's kind of like, to be fully upfront, I didn't watch this game live, but I know the story behind it. It's kind of like how, you know, when LeBron was first with the Miami Heat, you know, we knew that LeBron's really, like, everyone knew LeBron's great, etc., very good. But sometimes he could kind of be a little bit, you could kind of question his mentality, or like, you know, how mentally tough he was, maybe a little bit of like deferring too much, or maybe a little bit of complaining to the media. That was kind of some of the discussion around him, right? And so people were like, he can't be the best because the persona just doesn't fit. And then the Game 6 against the Celtics happened in 2012. LeBron came in serious, game face on. He's like, okay, let me actually show what I can do. Never accused of being, well, I guess people still accuse him of not being mentally strong, but basically put to bed all discussions that he's not the best player in the world and an all-time great, you know? You know? Like, then when we saw that version of LeBron, where it's just like, holy shit, like, he can just come out and kill. Then it's just like, yeah, this guy's the best player in the world, all-time great, best in the generation, you know? I think that's kind of how the Emu vibe was so far. It's like, yeah, we know he's supposed to be the strongest, right? But he's really just this angry shadow. When he showed up here, and he wasn't, you know, he wasn't bitching about a bunch of stuff, like, oh my god, why aren't you guys obeying me? And why isn't Harold obeying me? And why don't I have my mother flame? And why don't I have Lily? And why is Nika here? And everyone's just ruining everything. No, there was none of that. It was just like, quiet, silent, fuck up everybody, get work done. That was it. That was all that was really needed to change Emu's perception, I think, for a lot of people. Now, I'm not saying that means that he's going to be the final villain, but this was the first chapter where I was like, I could get behind Emu being the final villain. The first chapter in a long time that I was like, I could get behind Emu being the final villain over Blackbeard. As you guys know, for the longest time for me was Blackbeard. Then I got to a 50-50 point between Blackbeard and Emu. Then there was a phase, I think, towards the end of Egghead. Around the end of Egghead, there was a phase where I was like, Emu might just be the final villain. I think ever since God Valley stuff, I think in recent chapters it swung back to Blackbeard. But with this last couple chapters, it's now swinging back to Emu, you know? I'll ride and die on Blackbeard being final villain. I still, if you put a gun to my head, I would still put Blackbeard as final villain. Wait up, 5198, thanks a lot. Akuman Fruit is a Zoan that wants to choose a Davy, like how Nidhogg wants Loki. Ooh! Blackbeard hurt Shanks because the Akuman Fruit won't kill its chosen vassal Teach, and so the Mark of the Abyss blocked Shanks' power. That's a really cool theory. That's a very cool theory. Really, really cool idea. Love that. And he shows almost zero personality here, should horrify us not through his power alone. I think just how cold and emotionless he is throughout all this says a lot. That feels very impactful, you know? Let's get stream likes up to 150 real quick. Billy Buggy, thanks for being a Pirate King tier member for 3 months. I hope you've been enjoying it. I hope you've been enjoying the Pirate King podcast. Emu looks a little like Maharaga with the omen on his head when you look at the page where Hajrudin goes to attack him. Let's see. Maharaga's design is awesome. The anime, I know a lot of you are introduced to Jujutsu Kaisen's Shibuya arc through the anime, but I read it in the manga, and obviously why the anime did a phenomenal job with the whole Maharaga section. The one thing it was missing is like a clear sort of, like the manga panel where, you know, whatever, 8-wheel divergent sword Maharaga, divergent sword General Maharaga is revealed. It is one of my all-time favorite manga panels in Jujutsu Kaisen. It has a great impact seeing that design for the first time. The anime kind of skipped a big reveal moment. Like, it just made it more in pieces to make it more ominous. Like, you see him bit by bit. But I think that's effective for the anime. But the manga was really cool when you see that the first time. Recommend checking out that manga panel. Okay, I see what you're saying. Yeah, it does feel a little Maharaga-esque. Henchme987, thanks to the 5. Important. If a female sword ate a human fruit and got pregnant, would the baby be a sword or a human? And what if man sword Mr. 1 was the father? Okay, let's see. If a female sword... What's a female sword? I guess some swords have a female human persona, right? So... See, the thing is, the problem is that we don't even know what a human fruit looks like. Because apparently Chopper's fruit is probably not even the human fruit. That was a lie this whole time. So I don't even know what's what. Would the baby be a sword or a human? I think the baby would be a half and half. And what if Mansword Mr. 1 was the ah, shit. Then I think it'd be more human than sword. Zero, ID4LI what is Oda cooking for Uruj? Is he Lunarian? I don't think Uruj is Lunarian, but I have no fucking idea. What about Heaven Realm? What is going on? What is going on? There's so many questions left here. Rihannazer, 362. If you wanted to ask me what Oda's cooking for Uruj, I think he shows up in the Elbaf arc, possibly. Or I think he joins... No, I don't have a good prediction for Uruj. Rihannazer3622, thanks for the 5. I'll take any excuse Oda cooks up to have Blackbeard be final villain power-wise, just to get the better character writing he has over Emo already. Yeah, I'm kind of on board with whatever Oda needs to do. Julian Reed 6030, thanks for the 5. Emo is actually a cerebral fighter. Blackbeard is just a bumbling oaf with broken abilities. His whole final villain case is the possibility that he could become Emo. I mean, I agree. I think Blackbeard is a cerebral... Not cerebral, but he's a very crafty and scheming character in general. He's not dumb. In fact, he's gotten as far as he has because he is very, very, very clever and cunning, right? Blackbeard is really smart, but I think in battle, his battle IQ is among the lowest we've ever seen of any character ever, right? So, again, it's possible that Blackbeard has an alter ego, alternate personality. A lot of people have talked about that. Final villain case is the possibility that he could become Emu. Yeah, I don't know. It's complicated. Torchlight1785 says, I think Oda is making Blackbeard out to be a bumbling oaf, but he's hiding another side of him. I've always seen Blackbeard as the underestimated opponent, and he uses that to his advantage. The thing is that that's not quite true, because it's the other way around. It's like Blackbeard tends to overestimate himself and underestimate the opponent, you know? Like, it's consistent enough at this point that it's not like there's some grander scheme every time Blackbeard gets fucked up, you know? He's just usually getting fucked up because he's dumb. Like, when Blackbeard runs into Magellan, and Magellan just, like, destroys him because Blackbeard underestimates his opponent, that's not part of Blackbeard's plan. He just gets very lucky that Shiryu happens to have been released and just so happens to have the antidote. For some reason, they let Shiryu have the antidote. I don't know. And then Shiryu's able to give that to Blackbeard. You know, like, that's kind of been Blackbeard's storyline so far. I don't think I think how to explain this? Blackbeard, in terms of the long game, is really smart. He is really good at making sure that he goes kind of under the radar. People underestimate him. People underestimated him on Whitebeard's ship. People underestimated him when he was gunning for Shichibukai. He doesn't want a big red target on him, right? So he's been very smart in that regard for a long time. And even in the post-time skip, after the big war against Marco, etc., like, he hasn't tried to make huge moves like Kaido and Big Mom were. It's only now that he's starting to make moves, right? So in the big grand scheme of things, yes, Blackbeard thrives on being underestimated. He's very calculating. He's very smart. In short-term immediate fights, he's not smart. And he's the one who underestimates his opponent over and over again. And he usually pays the price, and he kind of gets away by the skin of his teeth over and over, often through, like, with Blackbeard, I think usually the case is that, one, he only picks fights in the first place where he's very confident he will win, and then two, even with that accounted for, because he is confident that he's going to win, he's therefore coming in overconfident in a sense, and too sure of himself, and inevitably something goes kind of wrong, and he kind of, you know, ends up worse off than he would have expected, you know? Blackbeard is just as lucky as Luffy. That's a good point. Yeah, fate seems to be very kind to Blackbeard for whatever reason. Talha Jahan, thanks for being a Yonko tier member for 23 months, almost 2 years. Thank you so much. With everything we're getting this arc, Emu, Loki, Roxgaban, Herald, incoming Monster Trio power-ups, I'm glad that this arc is not Usopp's Whole Cake Island. Yeah, I think that this arc is obviously, I still believe it's going to be very important for Usopp. I think the big stuff is still coming for the Straw Hats. I like to hope. But, yeah, I think just making, Elbaf is too big and too important of an arc to be just revolving around one Straw Hat. Basim El Madawi, thanks to the 2. Emu has a sword. Mihawk, did someone say sword? I don't think it's a sword, right? So it's technically sidestepping that concept. Yeah, this is an interesting point. Emu is blocking all attacks, not tanking it like before. Maybe Emu isn't a regen merchant. I would really dislike if Emu in this form isn't, like, invincible like he is in his shadow form. Because this form is clearly super powerful for offense, but the shadow form is kind of just unfair. Like, you know? Like, no one can damage him. Like, all the old gens together, all of their hockey together couldn't damage him, you know? I guess Ragnar is a hard counter to the shadow form, but it didn't feel like Emu was forced to go into this form because of Ragnar. You know what I mean? So I hope the shadow form's not just forgotten, like, because I want it to be addressed. You know, that, okay, well, can't Emu, if Emu's getting fucked up, can't he just go into a shadow form and just avoid all damage? Basim El Madawi, thanks for the 5. In regards to Blackbeard, I had a thought about Impel Down. What if there's a hidden level 8 that holds people like rocks? I mean, so it would be level 7, but level 7, that would be really cool. Because it does make sense when you think about it. Because level 6, as hyped up as it is, it's kind of sucks. You know, in the grand scheme of things, level 6 prisoners are like Avalo Pizarro, Katarina Devon, San Juan Wolf. Are there any, like, good level 6 prisoners? I mean, Ace. That kind of peaks out at Ace, right? And Ace was largely because he's Gold Roger's son, you know? Whoa, 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 whoa. Ismail Ami, thank you very, very, very much. Holy shit. The sun god dances and laughs, guiding the world to its end. The sun returns and brings a new morning, and they will surely meet. How do you interpret that from the wall in Elbaf at this point? Also, I believe Luffy and Emu will die in the end, and Blackbeard will rule. So, the way I interpreted it when the chapter first came out, when the chapter first came out and I was analyzing stuff, I personally think that over the course of the first, I attributed it to the physical geography of the world and what I believe will happen at the end of the story. I think we're heading towards a world where several things happen. The flood, the red line goes away, the flood ends, so the great flood ends, and the continents of the world are brought together. I think over the course of the first and the second world, what happened is, like, in the first world, the planet was kind of split up into continents and the red line was created. Then the second world, the world was flooded over. And then the third world will end with all of that being undone and everything being united into one piece. And that's what it's referring to. And I think that that involves a certain magical object like the sun, things like that. Now, I'm not so sure if that's what it means or if there's more to it, because it could be referring to characters as well. He said, also, I believe Luffy and Emu will die in the end of Blackbeard will rule. I don't think that's going to happen just because I think Blackbeard is meant to be an outright villain. He will probably have a sympathetic backstory, but I think he is meant to be a villain. Like, a lot of the things Blackbeard has done are just straight up unforgivably evil. You know, he's killed his father. He's killed his brother. He is a bad dude. He sells out pretty much anyone and everyone at any chance that he gets. He's not a redeemable character at this point. Mr. Saturn Lo-Fi, thanks for the 5. So hype. Emu's aura is everything Kaguya should have been. Yeah, do you think Emu leaving the Holy Land has an effect on Marijoa? Thanks for the content. I think outside of the Gorosei shitting their pants, I don't think it has a direct effect on Marijoa, personally. And thanks for appreciating the content. Thank you for your support, of course. That is one important thing about Kaguya. Kaguya had no aura. Kaguya had no aura. Which is kind of crazy, right? Yeah, Kaguya had no aura. Level 7 is the actual Davy Jones locker. Yeah, I always thought that 6 is an interesting number. I'm thinking about Kaguya a little bit now. I think part of it is that Kaguya, it's not just the abrupt nature. She was introduced with no build-up, right? So that's number one. Emu, we've had so much build-up and so much anticipation. So Emu's debut is just different, right? Two, the theatricality of Emu's arrival is phenomenal. Like, it's a full chapter devoted to just really setting the stage and the atmosphere for his arrival, right? That was last chapter, 1179, right? Kaguya didn't really have that. Okay, she kind of just popped up. And it's like, it's Kaguya time. And she Kaguya'd everywhere. But then the last thing is kind of like, remember when Madara was introduced in Naruto? The first thing, this is just like villain 101. Everybody remembers this scene. Madara just destroying the entire Shinobi Alliance with pure fisticuffs, right? That's similar to what's happening here with Emu. I'm not saying that this is the same sort of scene, but it's the same concept, which is when you introduce this big bad villain that you've been hyping up for so long, have them just go to town. Like, have them fodderize a bunch of characters. With Kaguya, the problem was, one, everything was a problem, right? One, almost no build-up. No build-up, no anticipation. Two, she's taking over from a villain that we all already really liked, right? Nobody asked for this. Three, her introduction was very abrupt, right? Again, Emu's, lot of entire chapter, 1179, an entire chapter devoted to building up to Emu's arrival, lots of theatrics, lots of bells and whistles, right? Kaguya kind of just, from what I recall, just shows up. Okay, so the least impactful way you can do it. And then to top it all off, at the time Kaguya shows up, there is no one left to fodderize. All that's left is fucking Naruto and Sasuke, who are the strongest beings in the Naruto-verse at that point, right? In the series, right? That's it. There's no one she can really flex on. That's not good, you know? again, like, it doesn't even matter who you flex. Like, Madara just flexed on a bunch of random shinobis and just fucked them all up, right? But it feels effective because you're seeing it's just establishing the villain as cool and badass and strong and really big threat and yada yada. Like, see them fodderize a bunch of characters to lead up to them fighting the main characters, right? Kaguya, there's no one left to fodderize. They're all fucking asleep or whatever, right? So she shows up, but she's immediately up against Naruto and Sasuke, and she's obviously clearly established to be stronger than them, but she can't just fodderize them. So her first fight in the series, like Kaguya's first fight in the series, is her losing. So it's just everything that could be wrong with Kaguya's introduction is done wrong, you know? That's kind of crazy. Like, the more I'm thinking about it, he introduces her to just lose. Killed Obito? My bad. I think I literally forgot about that. My bad. Henchme987, thanks for the 2. Who's hotter, though? Imu or Kaguya? Both are waifus. I mean, Imu's basically designed like... Is he a Lunarian? Is the jury out? But he's designed, for whatever reason, he's made to be like... like... a classically good-looking devil, I guess you could say. A classically good-looking character for as far as, you know, like, evil devils go. Whereas Kaguya... Kaguya's kind of just unsettling. Did you want my God's Knights to use Awakenings or not? This is one thing I don't like about the Kaguya stuff. Or not Kaguya, about the Omen stuff. I don't like, because we already knew that the God's Knights, one, the God's Knights, they've been struggling as of late. Two, it's established that the God's Knights, even just, like, they're struggling this much despite already being boosted by Imu, like, boosted by the Holy Knight Pacts, right? And now three, it seems like the Omen is boosting them again, right? So they're getting another power-up from Imu on top of the power-up Imu's already given them. So I just don't think... I don't like that because... And I explained this in the chapter review. I don't like that because what it does is that it does make the main villain, Imu, seem a lot more badass, right? Like, oh my god, Imu's so powerful. He himself is this strong, and he's feeling the powers of all these other characters. But it makes all of the God's Knights and the Gorosei feel like much less impressive characters, you know? The fact that their powers are so almost entirely derived from their boss, you know? I think it's kind of sacrificing how cool the subordinates can be just to hype up the boss even more, and the boss is already really hyped, so we don't need that, you know? I think there's something to be said to having not just the main big bad be really strong, but also the others, you know, the subordinate characters be their own independent, cool, badass villains themselves. Like, even just, what is it? You know, like, Baroque Works, right? Mr. One is a cool, memorable villain independent of Crocodile. Like, you could strip Crocodile away and it still feels like Mr. One is like, damn, that was a crazy, badass character, huge challenge for Zoro, awesome, right? With the God's Knights, it just feels like they're so dependent on handouts. Like, even if Sommers is strong now, it feels like he's a Make-A-Wish version of a strong character, and that it's because Imu's given him multiple power-ups at this point, right? Does it seem that Harold could have been made even stronger with Omen? Yeah, I feel like I'd already kind of taken a bit to reconcile the fact that the Gorosei, the God's Knights, they're all boosted characters by Imu, so I was like, you know what, let's just accept that. It is what it is. Their strength is not fully their own, but whatever. So I'd already kind of like slowly mentally just accepted that, even though I didn't quite like it. But now it's doubling down on a thing that I already didn't really like, and I'm just like, what even is this? I don't know. But they're celestial dragons. They're supposed to be pathetic. I totally get that. But my point is that there's something to having, you know, the final roster of villains be kind of cool as well, you know? Like, I don't necessarily want the big war to be against a bunch of lame characters, if that makes sense. I think it's fun to have a story where both the villain side and the good guy side features a roster of cool, badass characters, you know, not just the boss. So that's my only point. Like, I get that the Celestial Dragons are supposed to be pathetic, but, you know, we all kind of accepted that like, when the Gorosei show up and it's like, holy shit, they've got these crazy powerful forms and all of that stuff, and they've all got Conqueror's Haki and everything, you kind of accept that the Gorosei are just cool, strong characters. But now the further we go, it's like, oh, well, they're kind of lame in the sense that pretty much everything they have, or a lot of it is derived from just Emu, like Daddy Emu giving them everything. So, you know, we were cool, we were ready to rock with the Gorosei and the Gods Knights being strong characters despite being Celestial Dragons. So I feel like it's a cop-out to then justify and be like, oh, well, you know what, actually they were supposed to be pathetic because they're Celestial Dragons, right? Because no one was complaining when the Gorosei initially seemed badass and we're like, no, they're supposed to be pathetic, they're Celestial Dragons. We liked that initially, you know? Tiptia Treviso, thanks for the 2. All these holy knights are all emu merchants. Yeah. The GOAT, thanks for the 8. Emu seems nice. He's helping out his boys, and they seem happy to see him. Thought they would be scared. Loki, a far cry from the Emu we saw kill Saturn. Well, Saturn betrayed Emu, right? Like, he did stuff without Emu's permission. The Gods Knights have just done poorly, which I guess Emu holds in a different regard. So I guess they've got a really long leash in terms of allowance for fuck-ups. Taptio, thanks for the 2. These aren't the final roster of villains. Blackbeard's crew. So with Blackbeard's crew, they're going to be the final roster of villains for the Straw Hats, right? We assume, right? I think we can fairly assume Blackbeard pirates versus Straw Hat pirates. But we know that in the broader story of One Piece, there's so many other characters to account for, right? So that's cool that the Straw Hats will get... Also, the flip side is that Blackbeard pirates also look like fucking bums so far, right? So I think in either category... I think the Gorosei are still leagues more badass than the Blackbeard pirates. So that's not exactly a good consolation prize, you know? Like, I'm not exactly, like, rubbing my hands together for, like, Avalo Pizarro, Jesus Burgess, Vasco Shot, San Juan Wolf, you know? Like, even fucking Shiryu, who's just Absalom 2.0. Like, so that's its own issue as well. Let's keep that in mind. It's not like, well, if you don't like the Gods Knights and the Gorosei, wait, I got something else even better in store for you. Avalo Pizarro. That's not exactly... I'm looking around here and I'm like, all right, none of these characters are exactly like the Katsuki, you know? It's not, we're not dealing with an iconic group of villains here either way we look at it. But with the Blackbeard pirates, even if we say that the Blackbeard pirates, let's say they're a lot more badass by the end of the story. Okay, let's say that. Okay, even then, the Blackbeard pirates, that's a Straw Hat matchup. I'm thinking more so in terms of like between the Gorosei and the Gods Knights, right? This is Emu's chosen 13 or whatever. A lot of these characters are going to serve as matchups for the others, right? These are the matchups that you're going to see characters like your favorites, right? Sabo, Law, Kobe, probably like the Shanks, maybe Mihawk, these kind of characters, right? Like Crocodile, whoever, Yamato, yada yada. Like these are all we're looking at the matchups that are very likely for all of our favorite side characters in One Piece, you know? So I just think it's not exciting to see like a character that I like. If you really like Sabo, then Sabo's final matchup being like a trust fund baby like Sommers, I think is just less exciting personally. So I don't know. Newport's Poppy says, that's why I hope your Seraphim theory is true. I hope the Seraphim theory is true as well. The Seraphim, I just hope they grow a personality. Basim El Madawi, thanks for the 5. I think the fact that items, devil fruit, ancient weapons, and One Piece reincarnate / are preserved, plus Toki and Wano, are proof of an army coming from the past. I do think that it's possible Joy Boy sent some of his buddies from the past into the future, but I don't know about Imu's buddies coming from the past. Monkey would... I've thought about this before, ever since I did the theory about Joy Boy sent the One Piece to the future. Much like in Wano, Odin sent some of his scabbards to the future, to the Promised Day. I wouldn't be surprised if, like, Zunisha and Emmet are the only remnants of the of Joy Boy's crew that we see today. I feel like it's very possible that, I mean, with Toki, anything's possible. She could have sent some of Joy Boy's crew members 800 years into the future. Monkey would stick, thanks to the 5. Favorite underrated One Piece moments that make you smile? Mine is Fujitora saying he wishes he could see Luffy's face because he bets he looks kind. Ooh, that's a really good one. That is a very, very good one. Underrated One Piece moments that make me smile. Usopp, this is a classic I go to. Usopp offering to carry Dalton up the mountain. I really like that one. It's a really small moment, but it does a lot for me, at least. And then Zoro basically, like, realizing that Usopp can't carry Dalton up, and so Zoro, who, despite having been very detached from the events of the arc, he sees Usopp struggling, and then just steps in and picks Dalton up and is like, I'll fucking carry him. And I just like that whole scene. That's a great interaction. Great for both characters. Parliament, thanks for the 10. Hey, Morge, considering Omen buffs the Holy Knights, what are your thoughts on how strong Shamrock actually is? If he's relative to Shanks, wouldn't him with Omen be the strongest besides Emu? JB besides Emu and Joy Boy, love the content. I think that there's two things at play. One, it's possible Shanks and Shamrock have like slightly like. It's possible that I don't want to get into how much like Conqueror's Haki is genetic, but in theory, you know, twins should basically have very comparable levels of Conqueror's Haki. But I think the simple difference, like Shanks even talks about it, that the God's Knights don't really, they live in luxury for the most part. You know, they're just up there on their own. They don't have to deal with a lot of the struggles. And I think that's the biggest thing that One Piece stresses over and over, multiple characters, that your haki is only as good as you push it to be, right? So it's not like you're automatically just gifted. I mean, you do have an innate level of like your Conqueror's Haki or whatever, but just look at Luffy, right? Luffy's Conqueror's Haki right now is much stronger than it was at Fishman Island, right? You can look at Shanks. Shanks' Conqueror's Haki today is way stronger than it was when he was fighting Harold at Elbaf, for example, right? And how do those things happen? It's because Shanks is on the Blue Seas. Luffy's on the Blue Seas. Like, characters on the Blue Seas are having to fight and battle in these intense duels and such, right? Like, they're being pushed for their haki to bloom, right? So it's entirely possible that in theory, like, if Shamrock was just taking Shanks, call him a carbon copy of Shanks today, right? Just duplicate Shanks today, give him regeneration, give him a boost from Emu's power, and then give him another boost with Omen. That character that you just created, yeah, that's probably like one of maybe the strongest One Piece character, like one of the strongest One Piece characters ever, right? In contention, right? But that's not how it would work, because Shamrock is not just going to be a carbon copy of Shanks. It's going to be a carbon copy of Shanks, but minus like an entire lifetime's worth of battle-hardened growth, you know? So that's going to be very, very different, you know? It's the same as, like, if you clone Luffy, but imagine Luffy doesn't, like, clone Luffy exact same age as he is right now, but imagine he didn't go through all the battles with, you know, Doflamingo, Cracker, Katakuri, Kaido round 2, Kaido round 3, Kizaru, etc. Imagine you just took all of that away and you cloned Luffy. You know, that version of Luffy is going to be nowhere close to our version of Luffy. And in fact, you could give that copy of Luffy, you could give him a Holy Knight Pact, you could give him Omen. It's not going to put him close to the version of Luffy that we have today. So I think that's just important to keep in mind. Rashab Sunny 5835. Do you think that the difference between Zoro, Sanji, and Imu is equal to the difference between Luffy and Kaido in first fight? And I don't think that Sanji and Zoro got one shot. Sure, I think it might be a similar difference. Maybe Zoro and Sanji get up. But at the same time, I think the difference, even if they get up, I think a clear difference would be that I think Imu used kind of bare minimum force against them. Like, he just uses like a tiny little speck of fire against Zoro. And he just hits Sanji with an unnamed kick, right? Is it an unnamed kick, right? So, it's not really like... At least with Kaido against Luffy in Act 1, the difference is Kaido used his signature move, which is Thunder Bagua, you know? That's not to say that it wasn't easy for Kaido. Like, it was a one-shot, yada yada, but he wasn't just, like... He wasn't going casual, necessarily, against Luffy. He didn't use his hybrid form or anything, obviously, but he did use... his signature attack, if that makes sense, right? So, if we're getting really technical, yeah, maybe Zoro and Sanji are not knocked out here. I think that's entirely possible. But at the same... So, therefore, they tanked Imu's attacks better than Luffy did in Act 1 against Kaido. But I think the flip side is Kaido in Act 1 tried harder against Luffy in terms of what he did compared to what Imu did to Zoro and Sanji, you know? Like, does that make sense? I feel like the gap could be similar. I'll give one little caveat in Zoro's favor, which is King of Hell is not Zoro's best swing. It's not his best attack. It's Ashura. So maybe if he used Ashura, Imu would have to use a little bit more effort or something like that. I think Ashura's too difficult to scale because the only showing we had was when Zoro's like got all of his bones broken, so he's really, really injured. Like he's very handicapped when he uses it, and the only showing he had was him getting the better of Kaido and scarring him. So that's like a really good showing. It's just such a small sample size, I don't know where to scale it. You know what I mean? Like, based off its one showing, Zoro's Yonko level in Ashura, objectively. But it's such a small sample size that you can't really give that much weight to it or actually measure it, you know? Like, if we went off the one sample size we saw, then Zoro's, like, crazy strong, right? But such a small sample size. So I always reference Ashura as the exception because it just is an exception. We don't know till we see it pulled out again. Yeah, I personally think that Zoro and Sanji are going to get back up over the course of this arc. I think they're going to get back up. I think we'll see a little bit better. The Loman TV says, Yonko level, bro, are you trolling? That's what we saw in the one sample size we saw of Ashura. There's nothing controversial about that. Now, you could say that we can't give it that much weight because the sample size is too small. That's totally fine. That's completely reasonable. But I'm just saying what was displayed, you know? Oh, you guys are talking about pre-time skip Ashura. I'm talking about post-time skip Ashura. Post-time skip Ashura. Post-time skip. Slowpoke. Slowpoke Picnic, thanks for the 3. Blackbeard will omen buff his subordinates by absorbing Emu. Yeah, I just don't like that as much. Like, I would rather the final opponents for the Straw Hats be characters who are just, like, genuinely strong, you know, not like charity cases, kind of. That's my personal preference. It's personal preference. The Loman ITV, thanks for the 5. The Shanks equals Joy Boy hockey take after Gaban's statement this chapter feels even more wrong now. Yeah, I mean, we can't really put that much stock into it till we actually see, what do you call? Till we actually see, you know, Shanks do something. Taptio Treviso, thanks to 2. Maybe you misplaced how important Celestial Dragons are in the Final War. Yeah, maybe. I mean, but that's kind of hard to... I feel like that's not entirely unfair because the entire story has been building up the world government as the overarching enemies, and this is the heart of the world government, you know? Emu, the Gorsei, the God Knights. Ray Uchiha, thanks for me. Yonko tier member for 42 months. Here's a thought. What if Morgan's people are in Elbaf and get a picture of Emu? That would be crazy. That would be insane. I don't even know how Morgan spins that to the people of the world. Ismail Mie, thanks so much. Holy shit. Between Seraphim, Revolutionaries, Pirates... Oh, no, sorry, I missed Taptio. Let me get you first. Taptio, thanks for the 2. I think Garling is going to rat for Blackbeard if he kills Emu. That'd be interesting, but considering... I just don't know if, like, Blackbeard would ever work with a Celestial Dragon, considering his past, you know? Between Seraphim, Revolutionaries, Pirates, Celestials, Emu and Company, the One Piece, and world history, I really don't know how Oda will wrap it all up in a big Final War bang as he promised without rushing everything. Hope I'm wrong. I think it's all doable. I think it really is all doable because he's done so much of the work already. I think that's the thing I've tried to stress a lot, which is that it's not the same as a storyline like... I just have to keep going back to using Wano as the example because it's the most similar, okay? In Wano, we're going in kind of blank slate. Our main characters are the Straw Hats, who we know. Trafalgar Law, Kinemon, Momonosuke. That's kind of our group. I guess you could say we also know, you know, Kanjuro a little bit, Raizo a little bit, whatever. But over the course of Wano, Oda has to set up so much stuff, right? So many characters, so many new characters, so much new exposition, new conflicts, yada yada. We're meeting Hyogoro, we're meeting Yatsure, we're meeting Toko, we're meeting Tama, we're meeting Sukiyaki, we're meeting Shinobu, we're meeting this scabbard, we're meeting that scabbard, we're meeting this scabbard, we're meeting fucking random ass Gyukamaru, we're meeting Yukamaru's pet fox, we're meeting like a million things, we're meeting fucking Yamato, Kaido's son, who we never fucking heard of. Like, it's so much, right? So much new, so much that needs to be set up in a very short span of time. With this, like, all of the factions you mentioned, Seraphim are really not, like, real characters, but, like, Revolutionaries, Pirates, Celestials, Emu and Company, Oda's been establishing these characters for a really, really, really long time. We know what a lot of these characters stand for. We know what their motivations are. We can still dig deeper, right? We can still dig deeper. I would love to get more on Dragon, more on, you know, like the Kainu, stuff like that. But we've known these characters for a long time. For a lot of readers, like there's plenty of readers whose favorite characters are the Admirals. Favorite characters are the Revolutionary Army members, like Law, Kobe, stuff like that. Like Oda's done the work so far. He's done the groundwork to set up a very vibrant world with us being very attached to a lot of these characters already. And he's done a lot of the work, right, like fleshing out the One Piece world history. Like, keep in mind, God Valley, for a long time, God Valley was this big, mysterious event that we were waiting on. Big, mysterious event. And we're like, that's like this huge missing hole in One Piece history. It's crazy to think that we've reached that milestone and passed it. Like, that hole is filled, you know? Um, Things will, and it's not like it took a while. Like, it took like close to 20 chapters, but I think Oda's on a great pace, and I think he's bringing everything together, and he's slowly checking off a lot of the boxes. Even in just the span of God Valley alone, we got the origins for Shanks, for Blackbeard. We got essentially the backstory for Dragon. We will probably get some more, but he's doing a really good job, I think, with how he's knocking down a lot of the things that he set up. I point to Egghead Island as a really good example of the Hachinosu raid, where in that one little storyline, like Hachinosu raid, you add it all up, maybe it's like 4 or 5 chapters, right? That little storyline did mountains of work for Garp's character, Aokiji's character, Kobe's character, right? Like, phenomenal storytelling through that, right? Great storytelling. You look at the end of Egghead, right? Egghead did so much stuff plot-wise, right? The Mother Flame established, Vegapunk's big speech to the world, right? Like, lots of lore reveals, the Gorsei established. But amidst all that, Oda was also checking off the stories of Bonnie, of Kuma, Sentamaru, fucking Kaku for some reason. Did a lot for Kizaru's story. So I really think that the storylines that Oda's been planning for a long time and building towards, the long-running characters and long-standing threads, I think that that's all wrapping up really, really well, and I think it's going to continue to do so in the Final War. Might just be me being optimistic, but that's all what I've been seeing so far in the Final Saga. The only thing I'm really concerned about in the Final Saga is the fucking Straw Hats. I think everybody else is going to be good. I'm just like, don't forget your original babies. That's all. Josie Dirts, thanks for the 2. I'll do what you can't and you do what I can't made me smile. Yeah, that's a great underrated moment. I don't know if it's underrated or not, but it is a great, great moment. Also, let's get the stream likes up to 200 real quick. Let's get the stream likes up to 200. Also, because Imu has shown himself to be such an incredibly, incredibly hyped character this chapter, right? I imagine a lot of you probably want an Imu poster for your walls, because this very well could be the final villain of One Piece. So we've got a crazy deal going right now for April only. We have 3 God posters. We've got Imu in his devil form. We've got Nidhogg, and we've got Gear 5 Nika Luffy. And the crazy deal is, right now you can buy any 2 posters you want from the store, from any characters, any island posters that you want, travel posters, any of the ships posters. You can buy any 2 and get another 3 free. So you could buy 2 posters, 2 character posters, and get all 3 of the God Trio free. You could get 1 of the God Trio, 1 Luffy poster, get 3 other characters free. You can mix and match it however you want. You can get 1 ship, 2 islands, 2 characters, however you want to do it. It's all available, can all be mixed and matched. And basically any 5 posters that you get will only be the price of 2. So you can get 5 at the price of 2. And for this month only, April only, we've got the God Trio. So these 3 go away after this month. But yeah, definitely make sure to get in on this while you can. And I will drop the link for you all to make it easy. Taptia, thanks to 2. Still hope Zoro and Sanji and Zoro get power-ups this arc? Yeah, I still hope. I still think it's likely. I think this arc has done a lot towards building the idea of the Wings of the King. Again, I don't think everyone's down for the count here. Bane556, thanks to 2. That Gear 5 drawback is so bad with 0 consequences. What do you mean with 0 consequences? Isn't the consequence right now that Luffy's kind of out of the fight, where everyone's getting fucked up? Taptia Treviso, thanks for the 2. Blackbeard being fine working with Celestial Dragons is just pragmatism. Yeah, I mean, I could see that. But then also on Garling's end, I don't think he likes the Davy clan either. He seemed to have something very personal in him to want to kill Rocks, you know? JPZB3YB, thanks for the 5. Imagine if Emu's god fruit happens to take on traits of Lunarian because Lunarians were part of what people associated as gods back in those eras. Yeah, so that's what I talked about at the end of last video. Or sorry, not last video, in last chapter review and last stream, which was like, people were saying that, oh, Emu's Lunarian, Emu's Lunarian. I basically said that in the first world, Lunarians seemed to reign as gods, but they were probably not very nice gods. So if people imagine the ultimate devil fruit, they would probably imagine a vision of like the ultimate example of power and cruelty, which would be a Lunarian, hence why Emu looks like a Lunarian. But are we confident also, that's why I was skeptical of Emu actually being a Lunarian last chapter. But are we certain that Emu isn't a Lunarian, is my other question. Because now this chapter actually has me flipped. Last chapter I was like, no, I don't think he's Lunarian, but now this chapter I'm like, maybe he is. Maybe he is. Because so his wings pop out, right? So that's the thing. His wings pop out. Maybe he's really good at folding his wings. It's hard to say. Julian Reed, thanks to 5. Joyboy / Shanks hockey described as no hostility. Emu's hockey described as disturbing, terrifying. I think feel of hockey is becoming very important. Yeah, that's possible. That's very possible. Greg M2K7C, thanks. Sorry, your message got retracted. DuckDuck20166, thanks for the 2. I'm sure Luffy will show up when Loki goes hybrid. I mean, Oda seems to be delaying Luffy's return for a reason. I worry that what we're going to see is like Loki get fucked up and then Luffy have to come in and save the day. Because I'm just like, I'm kind of tired of Luffy coming into like, you know what I mean? I'm a little tired of Luffy just being able to come in and save the day for everybody. Be that against Kizaru, Gorosei, yada yada, Kaido. Obviously, that's the ultimate goal of the story. Like, that's what's always got to happen. Luffy will ultimately come in to save the day. But in this case, we do need the villain to actually get to flex as the villain, you know? Without Luffy coming in, haha, he-heing the whole thing up. He can do that later at some other point in the story, but for the moment, I hope that Oda does not have Luffy clown on Emu right away. That's all. That's all. The wings are not his wing. His cloak transformed into his wings. Ah, okay, okay. Lunarians were something like the Pillar Men. Ah, from JoJo's Part 2. Yeah. Yeah, very possibly. Tuptio, thanks to the 2. If Emu was Lunarian, that helps his final villain agenda over Blackbeard. I know you've been pushing hard for the Blackbeard agenda, so it's interesting for you to say that. But yeah, I think if Emu is Lunarian, it does help his agenda, but I wouldn't be surprised if this is just his fruit, the consequences of his fruit. People are talking about the chapter's art. I think Oda just went hard. More tired of a shonen protagonist doing shonen protagonist things. I mean, there's a difference between like being a shonen protagonist versus being like Natsu from Fairy Tail, you know? I don't ever want Luffy to lean too hard into the Natsu territory where it's just like every time he shows up, every time the villain seems unbeatable, Natsu just automatically resolves it, you know? We don't want Luffy to turn into that sort of character, you know? Everyone's cool with Luffy eventually beating Emu, but just not the first time. Newport's Poppy, thanks for the 2. Imagine Loki begging Luffy to save his country. That would be wild. That would be wild. I think I would lose some respect for Loki after that. I think I would lose some respect. Rashab Sunny, thanks for the 3. Did Roger fight Emu after God Valley / Gabon statement? No, I don't think so. I think no, because Gabon just said he's never felt hockey like that, right? So they all felt Emu's hockey when he showed up at God Valley, so that's what Gabon's referencing, right? Lil Emu 56, thanks for the 5. After seeing Emu, he should keep the Seraphim. They're basically made in his image. They're part Lunarian, and I think he's at least half Lunarian. Yeah, I think the argument for Blackbeard is basically just that, like, if Blackbeard takes. The argument for Blackbeard is that one, Emu's not a Lunarian. It's his fruit that turns him into that. So then, let's say Blackbeard takes Emu's fruit, meaning final war Blackbeard or final villain Blackbeard now looks like Emu, right? Then the Seraphim kind of makes sense. James Fox Smith. Thanks. Is there a YouTuber Reverie plan soon? There's a new group chat that was made, but I haven't been keeping up, so I don't know. If it's happening, I'll find out. There was a new group chat made at some point in the last several months, but I don't know if it's moved forward. I haven't really checked. Emu wants the Seraphim because he's lonely. Emu's just NL reskin. Emu's a lot more badass than NL. Emu, I would go so far as to say this. Emu, this chapter. Let me think. In One Piece, I think we've had 3 real no-nonsense traditional type villains. Emu is now the 3rd. Correct me if I'm wrong. Crocodile was the first. There was nothing funny or comical about Crocodile. He was just straight up cold, calculating mastermind, right? I'd say Lucci was the 2nd. No gags with Lucci. At a stretch, you could say the Bird, but I think the Bird is almost necessary just to make him a little bit more multi-dimensional, you know? But Lucci, pre-time skip Lucci, post-time skip Lucci has been made into a joke. But pre-time skip Lucci, that was a cold motherfucker, right? I'd say Emu's the 3rd. Like, no nonsense, no goofy, whatever. And I'd say Emu, with this chapter, Emu probably leans the hardest into that sort of traditional mold of just being very, very serious, terrifying threat, you know, Dark Lord, yada yada. Maybe the things he shoots out of his staff, those are kind of cute. Crocodile, NL, Doflamingo, Lucci, Emu. No, because NL was kind of a joke after a little bit. Like, NL was always kind of this, like, just smug asshole dude. But then, you know, after Luffy did the rubber thing on him, like, then we got the goofy. I think one of One Piece's goofiest moments of all time is with NL, right? So I'd say Doflamingo. Yeah, I think you could say Doflamingo. There's not, but like, Doflamingo's adjacent to that mold. In that Doflamingo is like the goofy part about him is the design, right? Like this ridiculous, over the top, pink flamingo feathery outfit. He walks like he waddles and stuff like that. The sunglasses, yada yada. You know, like there's that element. I'm saying in terms of the traditional, like, serious, like, that sort of villain. You know, I think we've had 3 in One Piece. NL never really felt serious from the get-go. He felt strong, but he never felt serious to me from the get-go. He was just kind of delusional. And then the goofy moment was obviously there. Akainu. I think Akainu falls into that category, but Akainu also feels kind of like... He feels very human, in a sense. Like, kind of relatable. Like, he's just pissed at his boss. I feel like Akainu's just an angry dude. He doesn't really have that sort of... Like, I love Akainu as a character, but he does come across more just like... He's this angry dude. You know, angry dude, frustrated with his boss, hates his job, but he loves the version of the job that he wishes he could do, you know? I'm not saying Doflamingo wasn't pure evil. So I'm not talking about evil, like scales of evil. I'm saying, like, One Piece's villains are generally, I guess, zany could be the word I could use. One Piece's villains are often a lot zanier than other stories' villains, you know? Like, we don't have, like, traditional, like, generally speaking, like, Madara, Yuhabak, like, Lucifero, stuff like that, you know? It's not quite the same. The standard in One Piece is, like, a bit of a kookier character type, right? So that's why I still put Doflamingo in that cat. Like, Doflamingo is very evil, and I think Doflamingo didn't really have gags in that sense, but if you saw his design in another series, you'd be like, that's a wacky character. You know what I mean? So I'm saying the more straight-laced, traditional, oh, I would see this in other series. You know what I mean? I think it's Crocodile, Lucci, and now Emu in that sense. Does that make sense? And this is not a critique of those like One Piece is great for having such fresh villains in that sense, you know? But I'm just saying in this type of category, you know? Jake Fox Smith, thanks for the 14. Luffy's reliance on Gear 5th pisses me off. Not only that it takes away all tension because everything is a joke to him, but his buff from learning Simpler Conqueror's coding in base was much stronger of a buff. I do wish that... okay, so I think we've been seeing recently that Luffy is capable of, you know, being emotionally affected and taking things seriously and not just giggling and laughing in Gear 5th. Like, we saw he was legitimately upset when he saw what Emu did to Usopp. So I hope we see more of that. But, yeah, I do think it's... I think that there was something really cool to that section of the story where Luffy unlocked Advanced Conqueror's Haki, and then he's just fighting with fucking Kaido straight up, fist to club on the rooftop, you know? Like, just straight up, he's able to do that now, split the sky. But now it feels like he just, like... Yeah, he kind of just does jump to Gear 5th for everything. Did he need to use Gear 5th against Lucci? No, of course not. Did he need to use Gear 5th against Roto's, like, pet snake and crow? No, of course not. He likes using Gear 5th just for the fun of it. Did he need to use Gear 5th against Sommers? No. I think Oda just likes having Luffy fight in this form at this point, you know? I think that, so I've kind of adjusted to that just being the new normal. I understand not enjoying it, but yeah. What about Kaido? Kaido, in terms of design, is that classic, traditional, like, oh my god, this villain is just like a badass villain, and this design translates to any story. You would immediately think that this is a badass villain. But Oda liked to have his fun with Kaido. He liked to make things a little goofy with Kaido. I think that was necessary because of the tone of the Luffy and Kaido fight. If Oda had made Kaido more like a Lucci, let's say, for example, which is like a cold-blooded character who is just out to kill Luffy, kill the rest of the Straw Hats, and, like, crush the nation of Wano, then I think the entire fight on the rooftop has a different tone. It's because Kaido is the way that he is, and he does have a bit more of a jolly side to him, that the majority of the rooftop fight between Luffy and Kaido was them kind of laughing and giggling and being like, you got me. No, you got me. Like, aren't we having fun, you know? And Oda wanted that vibe as a lead up to Gear 5th, you know? So I think Kaido had to be designed personality-wise to match the vibe of the fight that he was gonna take the center stage in. Tiptio thanks the 2. Every folk member thinks Celestial Dragons should act Akainu-ish. Pirate folk member? That's what you're talking about, right? What? I don't think that I don't know. The subreddit, yeah. Lucci's form would still be a little goofy in other anime. I think maybe. I think not his semi-Kikan form. Semi-Kikan form was cool. This is like a minor thing, but at the end of Luffy's fight against Lucci, like Gear 2 Luffy versus Lucci, Luffy releases Semi-Kickon to go back to his normal form. And I'm like, why'd he do that? Semi-Kickon was cool. That's really minor, but I'm like, why do I have him do that? Kaido when he can't spread rumors anymore? Yeah. Yeah, I think Kaido World's Strongest Creature officially debunked without question. I think it's been debunked for a while now. I personally thought it was debunked in Wano when he didn't... I think a lot of things debunked that in Wano for me, but I think at this point it's definitely debunked, you know? James Foxsmith says, skip my top message. Oh, I'm sorry, man. Hold on. Oh, it got deleted. I didn't skip it. It got deleted. It says message retracted. Why are we scaling versus Dragon Ball now? It doesn't matter. Like, Dragon Ball just beats most universes, you know? Do you have any content on your page of your reaction to Gear 5th? I think if you go back... Two things. I think you can go back to... I don't have a reaction... I don't do reaction videos for the most part. Once in a blue moon, I'll do a stream of an anime episode or something and react. But you can go... If you go to the Morge... Is it called Morge Archives? Let me see. There's a Morge Archives channel where you can see my chapter review. And then beyond that, you can see my videos just from around the time Gear 5th came out. Morge Chapter Reviews is what it's called. So you can go there to see my old chapter reviews. Yeah, that's where I store all the old chapter reviews. So every chapter review gets transferred there eventually. Yeah, and you can see my stream of when that chapter came out. You can see some things. Or like the videos on this channel from around when that came out. I like Gear 5th. I'm not a Gear 5th hater. I'm just a Gear 5th... as long as it doesn't sacrifice the tone of the story and Luffy's ability to get serious, I'm all good with Gear 5th. If it feels like it's doing that in the long run, then I will slowly dislike Gear 5th. Oh, Morge Unleashed. Forgot about Morge Unleashed. Shanks making it to Marineford over Kaido debunked it for me. I mean, that's the thing. So, like, people don't remember, but before Kaido, like, it was generally accepted. Before we kind of saw Kaido and stuff like that, and before, especially before Law mentioned that Kaido's the world's strongest creature, you can go back and read discussions. It was generally accepted that Shanks was above Kaido because that's what the Marineford encounter implied, right? So that changed once we got Kaido's title, but now we know the title is BS and it's just based on rumors, so I don't think Kaido's really got anything going for him. I also dislike the arguments for Kaido that are all based around, like, well, Kaido has the most feats. He has the most feats because he was the villain of a fucking big arc. That's all. He's going to have the most quantity of feats. That doesn't mean his feats are the best. That's fucking stupid. Like, Zoro has more feats than Imu. That doesn't mean that Zoro's stronger than Imu, you know? Imu's feats in this chapter alone are better than anything Zoro's done in the entire story. That's what it irritates. Like, Kaido's just like, he has the most feats. It's like, that's just acknowledging quantity. That's just acknowledging that he got to fight in an arc against many different characters. That's it. That doesn't mean that doesn't mean jack shit. Most feats is like, what are the feats? The feats are like, he beat the Scabbards. He, with the help of another Yonko, a whole other Yonko, was going even with 5 characters who had no Conqueror's Haki. Literally 5 scrubs. These aren't feats. These are like, well, he did that. Like, that was a thing that happened, you know? They're feats in the technical sense, but they're not impressive. Literally nobody else was slapping Gear 5 around like that, Morch. For the majority of the fight, Luffy's slapping around Kaido. It's literally an even fight, and Luffy is the one who's more handicapped. I think the anime's skewed people, because I think people remember the cool sequence in the anime towards the end where Kaido's slapping around Luffy. But you go reread the fight, it's pretty even. It's pretty even. Luffy has the upper hand at points, Kaido has the upper hand at points, then Luffy beats him with a big punch. That's what the fight... people have such selective memory, and it's established straight up, like, no ambiguity. It is stated multiple times that at the time Luffy is in Gear 5 versus Kaido, Luffy is more handicapped. Luffy has a lower health. It's not made ambiguous in the slightest. It's just like... Because people are like, Kaido is handicapped. Yes, but by the time the fight went against Gear 5th, at that point in time, Kaido is less handicapped than Luffy. That's like straight up stated in the story unequivocally. I don't know. This is. I think Gear 5 Luffy versus Kaido, you can argue it to death. I still take Kaido overall over Luffy because of Luffy's time limit, but just because of the time limit. But I mean, that's pretty much it. All right, we'll leave it. Sakazuki, do you want me to fly to Wano? I don't take statements like that on their own, because I'm like, that doesn't mean that Kizaru can beat Kaido and Big Mom, you know? Like, it's just because a character thinks they can do something doesn't mean they actually can, you know? If that were the case, then Zoro would have defeated Imu this chapter, you know? Aether says, okay, I always get hung up on this, but like, I get hung up on this, but this bothers me so much because it's just like the most bizarre argument that I only ever see with Kaido and Kaido fans. Okay. So Aether says, Kaido was still winning pretty well in the manga and then chose to take the last attack. What? What do you mean chose to take the last attack? They just ended the fight in a big clash. What do you mean chose to take the last attack? That's how... Have you ever read a shonen fight? There's no offense to you, Aether, but it's just... This blows my mind every time it's brought up. It's the most insane, biased Kaido cope I've ever seen. Because it's like... That's how shonen fights go. They fight a lot, and then they end it with both of them throwing their strongest attacks, and then the winner's the winner. Like, I don't see someone being like, Mr. One only lost to Zoro because he chose to take that last attack. If he'd just run away, then he would have defeated Zoro. It's like, it's a fucking fight. Like, yeah, they both wound up their best shot and threw it at each other, and Luffy won. And no BS about Kaido holding the island, because he wasn't holding the island at that point. The flames were out. Kaido just lost straight up. Like, do you make this argument for fucking Luffy versus Doflamingo? Like, Doflamingo would have won right there, but he chose to take King Kongun. Arlong would have beaten Luffy, but he chose to take Luffy's Gomu Gomu axe. Like, what are we even doing here at this point? Caesar would have beaten Luffy, but he chose to take Gomu Gomu Bazooka. Like, this is the most baffling thing. It's like, yeah, well, he chose to take this attack. It's like, they all do. That's what the fucking fights play out like. That's how the fights go. This is just, it's like insanity. It's actual insanity. It's just like, well, in this shonen battle, it ends with the two characters using their strongest attack, and the stronger character wins. But it's BS, because the other character chose to do that clash. It's like, yeah, because that's how the fight goes. They do their best shot, and then the winner is the winner. Have you ever read a manga before? I do not accept that argument for Kaido, unless you have a comment history or something like that, also arguing that Mr. One should have beaten Zoro, NL should have beaten Luffy, Doflamingo should have beaten Luffy, Katakuri should have beaten Luffy, Uh, Fucking King should have beaten Zoro. Like, you need to be consistent in that being your reasoning if you're arguing that, okay, only the clash between Kaido and Luffy doesn't count. But all these other ones in every other major shonen fight ever, they're all legit. It's actually insane. I'm like, I don't even know where people are. What the fuck? Like, I don't even know what what the discussion point is there. Newport's Poppy says Kaido literally said, "Don't worry, I won't dodge." Why is that relevant? Why is that relevant? Did Doflamingo try to dodge King Kongan? Did Mr. One try to dodge Shishi Sonson? Like, it's the same thing. People are generally not trying to dodge, like, characters accept doing the final clash. But you guys don't argue about that. Like, what's the difference? Just send the attack. Don't say I won't dodge. I'll beat it. What is that? What? I don't even understand. The fuck? It's the same thing. It's just a clash. It's just Kaido saying, "Yeah, let's do the clash," which is normal shonen writing. I don't understand. This is just. It's just mental. It's extreme mental gymnastics to just argue Kaido over Gear 5 Luffy. The difference is that Kaido is known to purposely tank damage more. Okay, so what's the debate then? So he tried to do that and lost, right? Bro, no one runs away from strongest attacks. They're not Usopp Law. Yeah, it's just the way things go. You know? It's just standard shonen manga / anime writing, but people are acting like, well, like people want to invent a scenario where like Kaido, I guess, runs away and then therefore wins. The others weren't like that. What do you mean they weren't like that? So, like, can you show me where Doflamingo's trying to dodge Luffy? Where's Doflamingo trying to dodge Luffy? Where's Mr. One trying to dodge Zoro? Where's King trying to, like, aren't they all embracing a final clash? I don't get it. Like, what is the difference with the Kaido situation? I don't even get the argument that, like, well, Kaido says I won't dodge. That doesn't change the fact that, like, the action is the same as what everybody else is doing. You know? Like, is there a difference between Luffy saying, I'm going to throw a punch versus Luffy just throwing a punch? You know? Like, it's the same action at the end of the day. I don't get it. Yeah, Doflamingo should have moved ass argument. Yeah, I don't get it. The only motherfucker dodging was Katakuri, but that was the point of that fight. Yeah, but even Katakuri, like, they welcomed the clash at the end. I think they're arguing that Kaido didn't get blitzed by Bajrangun like Doflamingo did. I don't think Doflamingo got blitzed. There was a big windup, and Doflamingo wanted to clash with Luffy's punch. That's that. I don't think Luffy blitzes Doflamingo in any way. They both throw an attack, which is normal, and then one attack beats the other, which is normal. It's only with Kaido where people. Nobody gets blitzed normally. What the fuck? Didn't Luffy do that versus Fujitora? Yeah, because Fujitora is blind. So in that case, yes, it makes a difference, at least in Luffy's head, because he's like, I have to say to this blind person, because Luffy thinks in this case, punching is, what do you call, a disadvantage for Fujitora. He's kind of discounting Fujitora's observation haki. Yeah, and Kaido doing his strongest move against Luffy isn't him trying to tank it anymore. That's another good point, which is like, it's not like Kaido's just like, I'm just going to take this attack. He thought he was going to tear it through Luffy's attack, but he didn't, because he lost. So, I just don't get the Kaido arguments. All right, everybody. All right. I don't get why people still want Kaido to be so strong. Yeah, it just doesn't make sense because it's like, we're in the final. Like, there's bigger shit. Why would you want the ceiling to be some dude from like 300 chapters before the story ends? All right, everybody. Just a reminder. Obviously, Emu was the highlight of this chapter. You can get him this month only. After that, he's off the board. But we've got a phenomenal deal going on where you can get 5 posters for the price of 2 for this month only. So just pick any posters from any collections that you want. You can mix and match them for however you like. Any 2 posters you get, you can buy another 3 for free. 5 posters for the price of 2. So just make sure you hop on that. Definitely to get the Emu poster and the Loki Nidhogg poster and the Nika poster before they're out at the end of this month. So yeah, with that, I will talk to you all later.